Fall at Equestria, the crystals howling dance. By Megaskullmon. Read by Forrest M. Chapter 4. Reaper Fields.
The past can leave death all around. Following the path through the death is but the chore.
It was 2 days later from our trek from Manhattan. We came to a large area of an old battleground. Tanks, chariots, broken and shattered armor with bones coming out of most of them. Zebra bones all over old rusted guns. Looking towards a strange stand made out of a helm of a dead soldier. Looking around, seeing that half of the items in this yard of metal death and weapons, most seemed to be used. It went on for miles. Here is one of the first battles of the war. So much lost on both sides. Refusal to pick up the bodies and gear left behind. This land was once known as ruby grass fields. The grass would grow at night to show the beauty of Equestria. Most of what is here are unknown soldiers showing the pain of war. The entire army on both sides that battled here. All died here. No one lived. It turned ruby fields into grim reaper's harvest. To those that wish for war, look at this land and then think again. Please understand these words. Peace is the only way to go. At the end it said, wrote by Fluttershy. Looking up, seeing the history of war, Shadow spoke. There's some creatures that live in here. They won't harm us, but they may demand something if they're in the mood for it. They're called rat creepers. Rats that mutated from smaller rats. They were chased out of many of the cities many years ago. Most came here and gave themselves names. Pack rats. Don't insult their looks. Don't stare at them either. Get through here and we go through the bubble bog to get to Wheeltread's home. This goes on for 30 miles. Also, there are old mines that might still be live. The sad thing about old gear of the past. I blinked and looked to Shadow like he was crazy. I said with a laugh.
Rat creepers? Giant rats? You mean the things I normally eat for dinner? Oh jeez, that is so funny. Pack rats. What is this, a joke? Is there any way around this?
Shadow smirked and nods. Oh, there is another way, but I doubt you'd want to walk through needle grass full of large spiders. This area is safer next to the needles. I sighed and looked back to the helm that had the words. Then up to the metal graveyard of the past. What is odd about this? I heard about power armor being built for this war, but there was none. Just very weak weapons and heavy large metal monsters. How about we set up camp before we go in and get some food, then get some rest and then head inside? Kip smiled, and with her magic, she formed a tent. It was odd. I've never seen a pony so ready to travel. She had many bags strapped to her. She put her cooking pots inside Silvergunner's compartments. These two knew how to travel. The tent was slowly being set up, while Silvergunner removed wooden pole torches, placing 4 of them around. He also had some old wood made from a bed inside his compartment. The two built a campfire. Looking towards the tent, it was old, but still able to be used. Kip's cutie mark all over it, while she brings out some newly grown carrots. Silvergunner had 2 large slabs of meat on his back. Then he closed up. I thought he was bigger on the inside, but maybe I was tired. Shadow helped get the fire going, while I offered to stand and watch. I held my sword in my hand, looking towards the metal graveyard. I saw caravans coming out of the area not far from us. Seeing one with a strange bear. Looking to see another not too far away. And then boom! An old landmine blew up. Then just as suddenly, the pony and guards were dead, along with their cow-like creature. I saw strange creatures picking at the bodies for gear. It was starting to get dark. The campfire was going. Turning to notice that Kip's horn started to glow. Strange light magic forming on the torches. They glowed in a strange light fire that made me feel like I could do anything in the darkness. I stayed looking into the spot I was guarding, looking down to my red dragon pistol. I got a better look at the pistol. It was pure white with black stripes along it. It looked like a normal everyday pistol, but this enchanted ammo turned it into magic like bullets. For a small little gun, it looked deadly. I looked at the dragon symbol closer. I noticed a drop of blood inside. The blood lasted all these years in this little spot of the gun. I placed the pistol back into the holster. I held onto my sword and watched closely. Everything was silent, and then I smelt food finally. I looked towards the camp, but stayed on guard. I sat on a rock, watching the way into the fields, just seeing how the past was. Looking towards every spot of death. How could the ponies of the past not clean this up and just leave it? Is this a way for the past to try to get the war to stop? By keeping one of the first battles full of the dead and the wounded? Maybe something more happened here, but I would never be able to tell. Looking over to Kip, who trotted up to me, and she had a gentle smile on her face, a bowl of meat hovering with her magic. She set it in front of me and gave my arm a nuzzle. She always seemed happy and never empty of hope. Eat, Turia. You will need it to get through this area. Turning my eyes to calmly stare at Kip, my heart always melting when I stared into her calm, gentle eyes. I felt my rage, my hate, everything melt. Taking the small bowl and calmly eating the meat while I watched the yard. Trying with my mind to see how this battle would be like. I watched calmly. As I sat there, I saw the battle in my mind. I watched the ghost of the past battle. Battle over what? Watching the battle in my mind coming in full force, seeing both sides attacking, even if it was night. I could still make this out in my mind, but I was interrupted by Silvergunner, who sat beside me. You seem to be trying to learn why this war happened, Silver asked while Kip and Shadow were talking behind me.
I find it sad that ponies and zebras would fight. This land must have been beautiful in the past, and I will never see it. But I will learn of the odd ways to protect it, just like my mother used to tell me. May the stars be your dreams. May the moon be your net to catch your dreams, before the fall into the water, to be the end of time itself. But of course, my mother left me alone while I was growing up.
Eating the meat, I looked to Silvergunner.
Silver, tell me, what are you? I noticed you aren't a normal pony.
Silver opened himself up, showing his magic matrix of a mix of magic and science. I was created to be a weapon at first, then to be the legacy of my creator. I was set to turn on 200 years ago, but I woke up 50 years after the bombs fell. I had no idea what was going on, but I went to study this new world. I saw many things, but I stayed away from the hoof. I refused to go there, but I went to every other spot of Equestria, mostly to study. But he stayed silent for the moment. But yes, I found a lab in the middle of a desert. Nothing was really there. I found Kip close to death, and then was there when she married Crossfire. They fell in love after a year and married. They both want kids, but they want to make sure the apartment building is safe and the area around. Before they do so, I wish I could make it safe for them. But we cleaned out the building and made it into what we could. The reason I am with you is to find another home for us. I know this is much to take in, but Manhattan is not safe for anyone. Unless you go to 10 Pony Tower, but I refuse to take all the ponies there. I looked towards Silvergunner and nodded, eating the rest of the meat and setting down the bowl.
I see what you mean.
Shadow tapped my shoulder. I'll take up guard duty. You can get some sleep. I nodded and headed into the tent. There was odd little cots that we used, and I fell asleep calmly while I dreamed of the past. Dreams. I dreamed I was a pony of that day, in one of the tanks. But what's odd is I saw myself. Wait, how did I see myself? I went back into my point of view. While I was tied by many bones and held in that spot, while a large metal beast aimed its gun at me, a voice speaking. Yes, keep telling those around you that the waste has beat you already, child. You will become dead if you never allow yourself to ease up and become a small hero of the waste. No need to be a huge helper, but what you could do is small things that could help in a big way. The one speaking seems to be a pony ready to fire on me. Then it lowered the gun, and the world went dark. Day 11. The camp outside Reaper Fields. I opened my eyes to hearing gunshots and got out of the tent quickly, seeing Silvergunner and Shadow firing at ghouls that seemed to be hiding inside the Yard of Death. But one of the doors of the metal monsters opened up and rat creepers took them down as well. Blinking, the creepers started coming to us. After it was over, one of them seemed to be a leader guard of the females. They're wearing strange gear, pots on their head, and armor made of parts of guns and gear all around.
Forelegs, help, pothead, and crew, yes, must take you to leader.
The other guards around chant the same. It's just 4 of them.
Leader!
I sighed softly and looked to Silver and Kip take care of all the gear. Then I'm pushed a pothead because apparently I'm the leader.
I am the leader of these ponies and Griffin. Why do you wish to take us to your leader?
Pothead looks to the others and they gather into a small group and whisper to each other. This was strange. The strange brown female rat was swishing her pink tail, looking back at me with her green eyes, then back to whispering. Then Pothead looked back to me and nodded.
Yes, we take you to leader.
We followed the pack rats as they opened up one of the old tanks. It led underground, it seemed, while a bunch of old tank parts made into hovels, as they led us to a large throne made of a bunch of old trash guns and tanks. The seat turned around, showing a giant rat creeper, his left leg gone and made into a machine gun that seemed armed and ready to fire. He was dressed in pure armor from a tank. The rat creepers chanted his name.
Cannonball! Cannonball!
The rat creeper stood up and lifted his hand. He spoke with an odd voice. Welcome to my kingdom. I'm Cannonball. We make a home under the parts of this death yard. The past makes good homes, but you seem to be traveling. What brings you to my kingdom? Up above is deadly. Pothead bowed, removing her pot, and nods.
They helped us with the dead. Yes, favor.
The potted rat said. The large king thought a moment and stood, looking towards me. You, come with me. I nodded and followed him to the back. He started to speak to me as we walked. Look around you, miss. Generations ago, we were removed from the cities. Many rat creepers looked for a home for years. I found this place. The ponies of this world destroyed the world with their pointless wars and their xenophobic nature. After those bombs fell, we were turned into this. It took a few years. Then the ponies started to kill and murder us. Why, I don't trust the pony with you. Someday, we might trust them again. But sadly, not right now, no. He led me to a tank that seemed to be half into the ground, and here. I started to look around it. It looked perfectly cut into soil. It was an entire home of these creepers. How they did this was amazing. He led me into his home. It was one room with a bed. I looked around. He had guns in old glass cases. He had a painting of 2 alicorns. He gave them both a gentle bow, then sat in his chair.
Now, let's get down to what I need. I need you to save my subjects and my daughter from a group of raiders. They've taken up camp at an old zebra camp. Now I wish you and the medic pony to go. The metal pony and the griffin stays. They help us clean the mines from the world above. If you do this, you will gain an ally in this world of death.
Sighing, I headed back to the throne and looked to Kip.
Kip, I need you to come with me.
Kip blinks, nodding, following while a group of guards, led by Pothead, hired Silvergunner and Shadow to disarm the mines. I looked to Pothead.
How do I find those raiders?
Pothead looked at me, and she put a claw to her chin and thought a bit.
Zebra, base to the west.
I sighed and nodded along with Kip, while following the path slowly through the area, seeing more and more of those tanks.
What a waste.
Sighing and softly looking to Kip, who was trotting alongside me, with her shotgun floating in her magic. The walk took half an hour. Then we saw an old zebra camp turned into a small outpost. Looking to the sign, saying to myself,
Dumbbell outpost.
Blinking and going inside, it seemed silent. This is a base of raiders. Walking into one of the buildings, and the rat creepers that were kidnapped were healing the wounded ponies from the landmines. The raiders we were told about were not raiders at all, but they were being trained as doctors? The rat creeper nurse looked up and she gasped.
Dumbbell!
She shouted, rushing out, heading to the main building. The rest of the nurses and raiders turned doctors looked at us, and we backed out, following the nurse to the main building that seemed to be a tent that was old but large as well. Heading inside, I looked around, seeing it's a bar, a large bar. The tent seemed to be expanded inside with 2 old parts, from tanks and other things, making a large metal building. In the middle of the chair was the leader. He stood up. A large stallion earth pony walked towards me and Kip. Welcome to my home. This is strange. I was told by Silver and Kip that anyone dressed like raiders must be killed. But these ones?
Aren't you raiders? Didn't you kidnap these pack rats?
Dumbbell shook his head and sighed. No one hurt the pack rats. But if you're here because of Cannon's daughter, then you best head east towards the old pony base. But I take it you're wondering why raiders turn their base into a place like this, instead of killing and murdering and so on. I took over a few years ago from the former leader, who I killed. Then I took a deep look around the old world. Then I thought maybe enough is enough. So being that, the rat creepers sometimes attacked us. I trotted into one of their attacks. I asked out of kindness to teach us, to heal and trade, since they're one of the few around here that can do that. I had a surprised look on my muzzle, and so did Kip. I looked down to her.
Look, if I can get the daughter back, will you work with the rat creepers to clean this area up?
Dumbbell looked at me while the entire bar of former raiders' rat creepers and 2 traders looked up to Kip and I. If you can do this, miss, then at my show we'll tread enough is enough. But I'm sad to say, he's trying so hard to find a cure to what happened to him. The Dumbbells used to run with him, but he made many mistakes in the past, and the older leader left there and took up shop here. But if we could make a community in this graveyard of death, then we could do much for this wasteland. It's not a big thing like the Lightbringer and security are doing. I blinked, looking to Kip.
There are others in this wasteland fighting as well? Then maybe I should do what I can, with my small choices, that will add up in this fight. All right. To help this area for the trading and make it easier to get through, I guess I will. Just tell me what I need to do.
Dumbbell nods and looks to the bar. Get them both some drinks, and we'll talk. The bartender nods and sets down 2 bottles for Kip and Taria, as the two sit on chairs made from old junk. Dumbbell sat in a chair near us. Now, a little warning to what controls the pony base are not only junk dealers, but they call themselves Reaper's Junkers. They won't take very kindly to you just walking in, so I say find something very rare in Reaper's fields to give them it. It's easy to tell how they look, just follow the smell. But if you meet their leader first, Sandsword, you'll be fine. Just a warning though, he's an old pony, but he will not die. Too crazy. I drank from the bottle, not understanding the taste of this drink. Kip seemed to drink it all down.
All right, so where's the best spot we can find the best junk?
Dumbbell chuckled. Just look around, you might find something. The ponies of old left a lot of treasures.
I would like to stay here, Taria, and help teach the raiders how to be medical ponies. I feel it's needed.
I looked at Kip and sighed, nodding. I set down the drink and headed out of the camp. I started to look through all the old gear on the ground. I lifted some old tank parts, seeing bodies that have long turned to dust, and sighed. Looking through more, I found a holotape held by a dead pony. I broke the bones, grabbing it, and downloaded it. I started to listen. It sounded like a pony crying.
They're all dead. I don't think I can make it. Too many outside of the tank that wish to harm me. I killed the zebra that killed my friends, but I can no longer go on. I know what I must do then. To anyone who finds this and listens, please, tell my family I fought with honor in the end.
I wish I could tell your family, sir, but after 200 years, no one cares anymore, it seems.
Starting to dig through more, I found an older gun of a pistol. I thought maybe this will work. Heading to the base, I walked past the rat creepers that put Shadow and Silver Gunner to work. They seemed to be holding a large bag of landmines. I gave them a wave and kept my path to the junk reapers. What gave these ponies that name, I wonder? Sighing softly, I found the place very lonely. Just seeing junk and old gear so far away. I'm starting to see why it's called Reaper Fields. Looking over at the dead, I wish I could have gone back in time to help these ponies and zebras. But sadly, that time is over with. Finding the junk reapers wasn't hard at all. They built a very large complex out of 6 tanks, taking them apart and on the wall to the way in. Sandsword and dummy leaders of the junk reapers. I went inside, and they aimed their guns at me from the top. I went into the middle of the complex, seeing a red-painted tank that seemed to be turned into a loader, to be driven out to gather junk. It also seems extremely hard to use and to work. I knocked on the door of the way inside. I heard a voice inside.
Open the door, dummy.
It sounded very old. Inside, a stallion sighed and opened the door. It was a young buck that seemed to be wearing a nice-looking suit. They gave a nice, gentle smile. Greetings. He looked at me up and down. Miss? I sighed and nodded.
Look, I'm looking for King Cannonball's daughter. Have you seen her? Or is she here?
The buck looked at me and sighed. She was here. She was trying to get us to work together with her father and the Dumbbell Raiders. But my father refused to allow it. She got gear and went into the bog to take care of the ghouls that find their way in here. She went alone. My eyes went wide, and I stared at the old stallion and went to him. as guns were aimed at me.
Listen, I'm not in the mood for your politics, you worthless ponies. If this world is going to live, you all need to let go of your, "Oh, I am better than you," logic, and get the fuck out on your asses. I'm sick and tired of going from place to place, only seeing it's every pony for themselves. Oh, yes, how silly of you. I'm sure the ones of the past did the same. The reason your worthless world is fucking dead.
My eyes were full of rage. I wished to stay calm, but seeing this and how all ponies and different races of this land acted finally made me snap. They were getting ready to fire at me, but the other stallion told them to lower their weapons. The old stallion said a racist comment.
"Get out of here, you mangy mutt, and go rape your own kind,"
the old one yelled. Pop! Enough! She is right. Now if you make a small table in the middle of the field, we will come and speak about working together. But it's best you go find King Cannon's daughter. The old stallion stood up and blinked.
"No, I will not allow this, dummy. You dummy. Oh, Lily, you hear that? I'm coming to join you, honey. Your dummy son wants to help those who want to steal from us? Oh!"
The stallion sighed and let his father do this. We will both be there. Also, my name is Monty Hoof. My mother had an odd sense of humor. I sighed and left, letting the old stallion have a fake heart attack. Checking my bottle caps that I was given. Just a few. Heading out the north way in to get to the bog to stop this crazy rat female. Walking through a path made by the junk reapers. Heading into the bog, looking around for the moment. I heard gunshots and ran towards the sound. I saw a rat creeper cut up a bit. I rushed in and grabbed my pistol and fired a few to look back to her.
Get out of here. Go back to your father. I will be there soon.
The female rat nodded and rushed off as I backed up, taking out as many of the ghouls as I could. I aimed the pistol carefully and fired at many of the ghouls. My gun was about to run out of ammo. The ghouls just kept rushing. Some even came out of the bog slime. The zebra pistol was kicked out of my hand and flew into a puddle of bog water. I took my sword and sliced through more ghouls, but I was about to lose this battle. I was getting bitten and kicked, feeling pain in my body, as one of my arms was grabbed by the mouth of a ghoul and the bone shattered. The ghouls backed up from me. I stood there, my armor broken in many spots, blood draining from many wounds. My arm that had the pip buck was broken. I held my sword in my other. Was this the battle that was going to end me? Was my journey going to end here? The adrenaline filled my veins. I felt the pain vanish for a time. I started to swing my sword, but it was kicked out of my hand and stabbed into the ground. It started to slowly rain. I looked at all the ghouls going around me. Using my one movable left arm, I punched one hard that it flew back. Then I grabbed the leg of another that gnawed at my hand, and I smashed another ghoul into the other. I knew this was going to be a losing battle. Being trained as a warrior never got you ready for unrelenting zombies. I was kicked in the chest again, a few of my bones breaking. My left leg a bit hurt as well. The ghouls started gnawing on me. My eyesight started to go dark and fade. I was losing all feeling in my body as my body was slowly shutting down from all the pain. I saw the ghouls getting shot, and I'm sure it was just a dream. A group of rat creepers, along with the princess, Shadow, and Silver Gunner, helped carry me away, while the rat creepers backed up, taking out the ghouls. My sword and gun left behind, both getting covered by the rain falling from the sky. Dreams. All I could see were dreams. Dreaming of the land of Equestria itself, turning into a golem and standing there in front of me. It pointed at me. while a lone pony in a hat and a large brown scarf removed it from his face, and the voice came from my mouth.
I thought
I was about to finish when I got cut off. The ghoul laughed softly and spoke. The raider ghoul I thought I killed in the basement of the apartment building spoke out, laughing.
Killed me? In a sense, you killed yourself.
The ghoul spoke again, laughing.
It seems that reports of my survival have been greatly exaggerated.
I had a look of terror on my face as I spoke softly with fear in my voice.
This isn't possible.
The ghoul added with a dark smile, his eyes glowing darkly. He starts to grow larger along with the golem to show the pain of the waste that has come. His voice rang out again.
Oh, I assure you, it is.
I had so much fear and sorrow in my voice. When I spoke, I felt sadness.
How?
The ghoul laughed and turned his head from me, speaking again.
Not how, but why?
He turned to me, the golem beside him, lifting me up, and he started to speak again. The words were harsh as tears streamed from my eyes.
You were never meant to come to the wasteland. You are an exile, born from the ancestry of an outdated sense of a warrior. Instead, taking the role of a pillager, a hunter made of flesh, a raider in sheep's clothing.
At the words, the golem ripped off my skin, showing that I am but a raider. Not a hero, not a warrior, but a raider as an empty soul. The golem just stared as I spoke out, trying to make heads or tails of this.
What happens out here is out of your control,
I said, trying to counter.
Is it truly, warrior? None of the deaths you caused would have happened if you had just stopped. But on you marched, carrying the weight of the burdens of the dead behind you. And for what?
The ghoul turned away, making the war happen in front of me. He turned back to me and growled in his voice.
A war caused by the stupidity of the ponies well over 200 years ago? But you weren't really there, were you? You had the luxury of avoiding the hardships and struggles they faced leading up to today. You and your bastard race thriving from the chaos. You're no savior. Your talents lie elsewhere.
He kept forcing me to watch the war. The death.
I killed him in the apartment. This can't be real.
I said to myself. I felt this pain growing inside my heart. I felt pain in my arms, and I started to be treated like a puppet, and the ghoul started to speak again with a smile on his dead lips.
The truth is, warrior, that you're here because you thought that you had some higher calling, when in reality, you're merely a puppet to the wasteland itself. Don't believe me? The golem itself had already been molding you, shaping you into the killer you truly are.
I started to sob as the golem moved me like some sick doll as I spoke out in anguish.
All the deaths, all the killings, it isn't my fault,
I said with deep sobs. The ghoul laughed at that. As the golem, that is the wasteland itself, just kept making me into the mold it wished. I couldn't move. I couldn't fight back. I could just be the puppet. The ghoul laughs and smiled softly and spoke again in an echo.
It takes a being of strong willpower to deny what's right in front of them. And if the truth is undeniable, you create your own. I'm here because you can't accept what you've done and what you will do. It broke you. You needed someone to blame, so you cast it on me, the ones you have killed and you will kill.
As he spoke, the ponies I killed earlier in my journey before I met Shadow, the raiders that threatened to rape me, the ghoul in front of me, his men that killed his wife. Misty Moon was there. Did I kill her? Then I saw a husk of Silvergunner, Kip, Shadow, the raven that had been following me, even faces of ponies I haven't even seen yet, some in strange armor. I was told that Steel Ranger and Enclave. I saw these husks of the dead as the golem itself became the waste, gathering the pain it held. The waste was a golem in the heart of many. It broke so many before me. All I could feel was the pain, the anguish, the death. The dream went to a room of reflection, the golem still standing over me, still using me as a puppet still. I looked around to see one big solid mirror, and I was standing by the ghoul as he had his hoof wrapped around me. He was laughing and seemed to play my mind. He was painting something. I couldn't see it yet. He was speaking and laughing.
No matter how hard I would try, I never could escape the reality of what happened here. That was my downfall.
The pony brushes the last bit of paint on the painting and stepped back slowly with a satisfied yet sickening smile.
There, finished.
He'd set the paintbrush down in a makeshift can that held other paintbrushes, eyeing me.
I hope you like it.
My eyes couldn't believe it. The golem allowed me to walk forward.
What the hell is going on?
I asked.
Your eyes are opening for the first time. It hurts, doesn't it?
The ghoul pony gestured for me to step closer. I did, looking in disbelief and anger as I heard his voice again.
Go on, tell me what you think.
I saw a painting of all those I killed, even those I haven't. My eyes grew with anger as the ghoul spoke again with a dark laugh.
You did this.
The ghoul pony smiled briefly before becoming stoic, eyeing me.
No, you did. Your actions caused the deaths of countless lives. Someone has to pay for your crimes, Turia. Who's it gonna be?
I said in great anger, looking to the ghoul. I spoke out in anger.
Is this some kind of sick joke?
Asking with a growl.
You tell me,
the ghoul said.
I'm done playing games, whoever you are.
I try to move away, but he forms in front of me.
I assure you, Turia, that this is no game.
The ghoul kept playing me as he laughed, dancing around me in the mirror. The golem lifting me up and pulling my gun out of my holster. The golem wanting me to do something. Then I noticed the ghoul aiming his gun at me. He spoke to me, laughing.
I know the truth is hard to hear, Turia, but it's time. You're all alone, all that's left. And we both know that this lie can't go on forever. So,
he lifted his gun as the ghoul spoke.
Here's what will happen. I'm gonna count to 5. Then, I'm pulling the trigger.
I watched as he lifted his gun to my head, and he smirked.
Make your choice.
I started shaking in my body, pain filling me, and I said, scared and crying,
No, you're not real. This isn't real. It's all in my head.
The ghoul laughs and smiles, speaking.
Are you sure? Maybe it's in mine. 1.
I screamed back at him, tears falling from my face.
No, everything, all of this. This is your doing.
The ghoul chuckles and looks at me.
Well, if that's how you feel, then shoot me. 2.
I cocked my gun and laughed, crying and sobbing.
I didn't mean to hurt anybody.
The ghoul looks at me and frowned softly.
No one ever does, Taria. 3.
I started to lift my gun up, getting ready to fire. The ghoul did as well and laughed softly.
4.
The ghoul pony glared at Taria, gun held tightly.
Is this truly what you want?
My eyes filled with tears, and then he would scream the last final word. The last final word that would give me this choice. If I thought of killing myself, I would have given up. If I let him shoot me, I accept everything. If I choose nothing, then I focus on what I have done. I keep following that path.
5.
Footnote. Level up. Perk added. Reaper Fields perk. You walk through the Reaper Fields. You can hear mines with your very sensitive ears before you get close to them.